What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday. Gonna have a fun show talking about the Titans rookies and the starters that might be coming from this 2025 draft class and how many of them could be, would be, will be bona fide starters for this Titans team in 2025 and when they are most likely to have their starting timeline. Easton, you wrote about this at A to Z Sports.com over the last few days, and now we're going to talk through it. One rookie is more likely than the others, in Easton's mind, to start week one alongside Cam Ward. So Cam Ward is going to start week one. Check. Got that done. We'll talk through that a little bit here, but also another rookie that Easton believes could be a week one, day one starter for this franchise. And then we'll go through the draft class and figure out where in the schedule are these guys likely to emerge as starters. And Easton's going to go through the difference of starting a game versus being a starter, or being a bona fide starter. Are you a spot starter, or are you like the guy whose job it is to start at that position? So we'll talk through this draft class and more. Then we've got trivia here on this Wednesday to take our first shot at sports trivia this week. Last week was a good sports trivia week.
It was.
We'll see if this week is or not.
We got to stack days.
Yeah, just go 1-0 every week. You'll be in a good spot. That's James Franklin for you right there. All right, Easton, welcome in, man. Let's get this thing off and rolling.
Yeah, good morning, Austin. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's having a great start to their Wednesday. Got a good show for you today. Need you to like the show here at the top. Lock in for us and like the show on Facebook, on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button. It is free. It's very helpful to us. So that's the easiest way that you can be a friend of the program this morning, is to like the show and then jump in the comments with Garrett, Steven, Titan Thor, Bustin' Diamond, Diane, Queener Stanley, Rooney, Jeff, Big Ten Jeff, John, Daniel, good morning. Some familiar faces in there, some new faces. Good to see some keeping it fresh in the chat. Jump in there. We'd love to have you. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation over there on Facebook or on YouTube. Just jump in the chat, be a part of today's show. Austin, let's get it started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on this Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, our Titan reporter for A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the shows segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Leave us that 5-star Google review. That goes a long way for us. I just got my email, Easton, literally at 8:07. So 10 minutes ago, right as we were about to start the show. A 5-star Google review coming in from Dustin Unger, who's 5 stars, has been a listener for almost from the beginning, which is true.
Wow.
Great group of knowledgeable fellows. I try to catch a podcast daily, always find it entertaining and informative. Keep up the great work. And Dustin Unger, if you are a longtime A to Z person, then you remember the Dustin Unger right there too. So shout out to him. Also got to give a shout out to our sponsors, because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And our friends at Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They are local and online at bartondrury.com. So, Easton, we're going to have a good show talking Titans rookie timelines to start. How many of these guys will be bona fide starters in their rookie seasons for the Titans? And then we can even have like some side tangential conversations.
Tangential.
Yeah, that one. Conversations about, would it be a good thing for the team if this guy was a starter this year?
Right. It's a good point. It's a good element of the conversation.
That's right. Noah comes in with a super chat off the bat. Says, "We back, baby. Been absent for a couple weeks, but finally got done moving. Bet you guys were missing my Burke stand comments
so much. Yes.
I did miss the $9.99 each last few weeks, but
love that.
I miss you guys too. IO or DK would be great if they could beat Traylon. Well, that's basically already
if they could beat Traylon. What are we talking about?
Oh man,
sure would be nice if Femi was able to beat out. This is a bad example. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen.
I sure wish the good players would beat the bad players.
Yes, for sure. So, let's see. Johnny says we talking week one. So, Yeah, the title of the show is the Titans
Well,
rookie who's most likely to start alongside Cam Ward in week 1. But let's just start with Cam Ward because I think we have to. The first overall pick is going to start week 1 for this team, Easton. Is there, I mean, okay, I'll just ask you this question, try to make it as interesting as possible.
okay.
Give me a date on the calendar where Cam Ward will be announced as the day 1 starter. Prediction, just a date on the calendar.
September. Let's see.
Do you know what? Do you even know what date the first game is? First?
September 7th.
Okay, good.
So I'm gonna say September. That Monday would be September 2nd, September 1st, the Monday of game week for week 1.
That would be August 30th, 1st.
Would it be? Is that how that works?
September 1st. Yeah, September 1st. It would be Monday,
Okay.
which is Labor Day, by the way.
Oh, it is. It's true. So yes.
So you don't think
just
the
kidding.
Titans
Tuesday the 2nd. We won't be there for Labor Day. I don't think. I don't know. Did they take Labor Day off?
Does the NFL work on Labor Day? Yes. Absolutely.
Well, I know they work, but like, do they let us come on the holiday is the question. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you show up to Thanksgiving last year? Buck
on
did.
Thanksgiving? No, I didn't.
Yeah,
no.
Buck did because he doesn't care about his family.
I was about to make a joke about that. Glad you did it before me.
But
I was doing normal Thanksgiving things on that day.
Christmas is the only day the NFL's like, okay, you guys don't have to show up today. No, so
that's not true. They took what was the Memorial Day in the spring. They take dumb holidays in the spring.
That's because it's in the spring.
Right. I'm just saying they occasionally take dumb holidays.
Call things dumb. Don't call holidays dumb. Like Memorial Day.
Dumb holidays to take off of work is my point.
Okay.
It's not dumb to observe them, obviously.
Okay, fair. Important clarification.
Clarification.
You don't think the Titans will announce Cam Ward as the starter until game week?
Kind of. I mean, I think that they'll because it's already.
What if Will Levis is traded in August?
We're talking about We're talking about specifically acknowledging it versus pretty much acknowledging it, right? Because we're already at the point where they're not going to. If you're at a press conference, ask them to say these words. Cam Ward will be like they're going to not do that. But
so they're going to go through 3 preseason games.
Yeah,
everybody's not mention that Cam Ward's going to start week 1.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I won't be surprised by anything. My point is, this is the kind of cute thing that teams do, right? They play the little game of like, well, we'll get to that when we get to that, and when the depth chart comes out, and maybe it's when the depth chart comes out, the cut down day, August, whatever it is. And he's at the top of the depth chart then. But I think that they'll especially with the Levis thing, if and until he's traded. They'll continue to do the silly little charade thing, and they'll operate obviously like they already are, like Cam is the starter, and he'll get the majority of the reps and all the first team reps, and it'll be obvious to everybody that he's the starter. Sure. But they're not going to come out and say it on the microphone. I'm not going to get an email from Titans PR with the transcript from Brian Callahan that says Cam Ward is our week 1 starter until kind of close to week 1.
Close to week 1, but you said game week.
Yeah, I think
week is week 1.
I think the first time we talked to Callahan after the preseason. Let me put it that way. First time post preseason that we talked to Callahan.
Okay.
Which I'm guessing will be game week, right? Or maybe right after the 3rd preseason game.
There might be he'll have a presser after the 3rd preseason game.
Right.
Which is like the 28th or something 22nd, I think.
Yeah, 22nd.
Because there's that weird gap week at the end of August. I think cut down day will probably be the 27th of August too. So I think it's as soon as Will Levis is traded. That's as soon as it would be. So that's what I'm going to say. If Will Levis is traded August 12th, then August 13th, Cam Ward will be announced as the starter because they're not gonna say, oh, Brandon Allen versus Cam Ward to start week 1 versus the Broncos. No, but as long as Will Levis is there, there is a slight justification to drag that thing out. So that is what I believe overall.
I can get with that. I think that's a fair take.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's ask the question to all of you outside of Cam Ward. What Titans rookie is most likely to start week 1? Which Titans rookie is most likely to start week 1 alongside Cam Ward? So, hey, Scott's birthday is August 13th. My prediction right there. So, which Titans rookie is most likely to start week 1 alongside Cam Ward? We'll get to your comments here in a moment. But first, I want to tell you guys about the Barton Drury Insurance Group. They have customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. If you are looking for a new policy, whether it's your personal, whether you're family, or maybe you're an employer and looking to help out your employees, we've got our liability, our workers' comp through Barton Drury Insurance Group. We've also got our employee benefits through Barton Drury Insurance Group, because Zach and I, as our business continues to grow, we try to go out there and find the right resources for our employees and for our company. And Barton Drury was a massive help for us in 2024 to make 2025 even better. And that's what they've been doing for us. And they can do the same thing for you. They've also got, rental, life coverage, all these different things, that home, auto, the surety bonds that we always joke about. They've got it all right there. And they strive to make sure that you are educated on your policies before you sign those lines to make them fully into effect. And they will be on your side, your teammate, along that process too. So make sure you check them out whenever you need some type of insurance help. They've got you covered. BartonDrury.com.
There's so much more to say, but first, make sure you've liked the show, and then leave a 5-star Google review for us. Search ATOZ Sports on Google.com. Find that 5th star on the right, and then leave us your feedback. Your feedback is a gift. We appreciate it. Say whatever you'd like, as long as it comes in the form of a 5-star Google review.
By the way, 169 Google reviews that are all 5 stars.
Love.
On
They're all 5 stars now.
All 5 stars. We have weeded out the nons.
Batting 1,000.
I think. Let me just. I mean, you could. I'll go double check that.
Okay.
While you look at the chat for. Nope. Yep. That's it. All 5 stars. That was pretty easy for me to double check. So all 5 stars, 169 of them right there. So Easton, to the chat you go. Which Titans rookie is most likely to start week 1 alongside Cam Ward? What do you see?
Eric Castillo says Femi Oladejo. Big Ten Jeff says Aya Manor from Brock. Aya Manor from Dr. David. Ira Hoshi says Chim, but he spells it like Chimmery or something. That's not the right way to spell it, but fair enough. Aya Manor. Malachi says Gunnar Helm or Femi Oladejo. Steven says Aya Manor. Ira Hoshi, once again, double comment, Chimere DK. I think Ira Hoshi's just on some interesting internet this morning. Tall Texan says Femi purely due to the lack of options at the edge position, which is a fair thing to talk about. We'll get to that in a minute. Alec from Darius and Joshua. Eric says Aya Manor specifically in the slot. Interesting. Johnny says Alec will be a starter, but he thinks Gunnar Helm will be on the field more. So heavy rotational option there. Femi from Chris. Femi from Lewis or Louis. Alec or Femi says Bearded. So, Bearded Kunu is, I think, nailing it here. The most popular options are either Alec, Aya Manor, or Femi Oladejo as the week 1 starters. Austin, what say you?
Well, I mean, Femi's the second pick from the team, so you would think that guy's probably more likely to start because he was, picked higher than everybody else. So that's an option for this question. But the interesting caveat to the Titans 2nd round pick and the Titans 3rd round pick is the fact that they are probably not likely to start day 1. and the guys picked after them are more likely to start day 1 than they are. Kevin Winston Jr. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Winston Jr., I think is, to touch on him for a second, and then I'll come back to Femi. The 83rd, second, whatever 80 pick Winston was in the 3rd round, injured, right? Coming off of the ACL. The Titans have veterans at that safety position. You're going to need him to play in spots and in specialty packages, special teams, all that, but only after he's healthy. And I think it's harder for a rookie to come in and jump out of an ACL because they've got so many things they've got to learn physically, mentally to get into that. And he's behind the 8 ball because of the injury, which is why they got him at 80 something in the 3rd round.
Right.
Femi we know that he's only played 10 games at edge rusher, and that's easy to get squashed in the NFL if you've got an underdeveloped pass rusher going up against NFL offensive linemen that know how to just stop a guy that doesn't have as many tools in his bag. So I don't think Femi's the answer to this question. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go with it.
Do you?
So I would like, I know because I read your article. So I will let you answer first. So then I can play devil's advocate a little bit and have that make sense from a show flow standpoint. So Easton, what is your answer? Who is most likely to start alongside Cam Ward from this rookie draft class?
Yeah, my answer is that I agree with a lot of folks in the chat. I think Alec Manor is the guy that's going to be the week 1 starter alongside Cam Ward. Kind of calling my shot here. You guys know that I have been the primary supporter of Alec Manor since before he was ever drafted to be a Titan. My guess is that he's going to be the starting X receiver because, as I've said, I think that he's the only true X receiver in terms of body type and skill set on this team. And so that's where I think he'll be lined up week 1. Everything that I've seen and heard about him physically and mentally, I think him getting up to speed in the NFL is not really a big question for me. I think that I think that he's more pro ready than a lot of folks realize. When I watch his tape, I see a guy that is more pro ready than folks are talking about him, have been talking about him. And I've been encouraged by, what we've seen so far in practice. Really excited to see what he looks like when he gets the pads on, because, that big, strong frame, he'll hopefully be able to throw that weight around a little bit and continue to progress in training camp. So my guess is that he's the one that they have out there. Did they last year? I mean, I think Traylon was the starting X last year, right? I'm trying to think about who was starting at X last year.
Well, because D-Hop was coming off. D-Hop played against the Bears, but he was coming off with an MCL tear.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think they rolled out Boyd, Ridley, and Traylon as the 11 personnel. Traylon, whatever. He's about to be gone. Who cares what his name is?
I mean, I care what people's names are. But anyway, I think
I say it back and forth, like
I know you do
all over the time. Traylon, whatever.
But I believe Burks was the starter at wide receiver because of the D-Hop injury. So yes, I guess my question to you, Easton, if it's not Alec Manor starting at the X spot, who else could it be?
You could put Calvin out there, and that wouldn't be all that surprising.
Then who would start the other? Who would start at Z?
Right. Well, that brings into question when and if Chimere Dike is going to start. So he's on the list.
Okay, let's just say Calvin's the starting Z, right? Because that's what his position is. Mm-hmm. Who are the other candidates to be the week 1 X?
Van Jefferson.
Okay.
And it's kind of the end of the list. Bryce Oliver. Hello, Bryce Oliver gang. Where we at? Week 1 starter.
So it's literally those 3 guys. It's Alec, Van, and Bryce.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's also, that's a part of this, equation here is what's the competition? Like, again, Calvin starting at X wouldn't shock me either. So, I'm going to lump him in. And if he does, then it's a question of, okay, well, does Van start in the slot or at flanker? Does Chim start at flanker? Does, do you, can Tyler Lockett play? I mean, we talk about it as being slot only, but there are very few players that are literally can't play outside of the slot. So, and Tyler's done a lot of it in his career. So I think that he's a slot only guy at this point in his career. Will he occasionally line up at Z? Probably. And maybe that's what they do to start because they're trying to bide some time. But it's not, the competition is slim out there.
Okay. So I think,
and if Iamanor's not week 1, it's like it's
week 2, maybe
September. It's September.
Yeah. Month 1. So all right, I'm going to push back. I'm going to say, because it's the position specific that we're talking about, right? It's X receiver, Z receiver. The 2. What do they call the 2 tight ends? Because it's
F and Y. Y is inline. F is the fullback, essentially.
So that's where I'm going to say my answer. I think Gunnar Helm is going to be the starting Y from week 1.
I agree with you, but we can nerd out on this and be like, well, 12 personnel is not their base package.
Yeah, screw all that stuff.
So in their 12 personnel, Gunnar Helm is a starter. Because the funny thing about starter is like, what do we deem a starter? Are we talking about the guys they announce running out of the tunnel? Or are we talking about the guys that are on the field
on the graphic?
The first line of first play from scrimmage. because you can run. I mean, they could run 22 personnel the first play from
Totally.
scrimmage and have 2 running backs and 2 tight ends out there. Like,
So, all right, timeout. This is a great opportunity because it is June 25th.
to explain what that means.
Football is so far, actually not that far away. It's like 36 days from the Hall of Fame game. So shout out to math. So Lucas says, can you explain what these letters mean for each wide receiver?
Yes.
So do you want to take, and we can even go into the tight ends too, because that's relevant, right? Because we're talking about Calvin Ridley's a Z. That's the movement guy. X is usually, and I'll let Easton go deeper into it. X is kind of your on the line of scrimmage receiver on the outside. Then you have your Y and F tight end. We kind of talked through that, but I'll let you kind of go deeper into what Lucas's question is.
Yeah, and I apologize because I tried my best to not assume that everybody knows like nerdy things about football, because I myself, like, I'm not an expert when it comes to X's and O's, and I get in a blender sometimes when I listen to people smarter than me, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So I'll keep it simple because that's my understanding of it is relatively simple. X receiver is your boundary receiver who does the most downfield work. He's your biggest bodied guy. He's lined out wide, right? The other guy on the other end
is usually on the line of scrimmage. Like, so
correct.
You have to have 7 people on the line of scrimmage, right? So you've got to have one guy. You see like receivers like pointing to the refs, doing all this kind of jazz. Like, if you're on the line of scrimmage, you have to get off the line of scrimmage and shift before you can motion. So the X is typically your bigger body guy who is
your big, physical, fast, strong AJ Brown guy if you can find him, and that's why it's hard to find an X, is because you got to find a real specimen of an athlete to play.
Because the Z is off the line of scrimmage, which means they can benefit from pre-snap movement whenever they want to, right? And within the rules, and so that way, like if you have a guy who struggles in press man, then you can use that and motion him to avoid that initial physicality off the line of scrimmage. Or if he's just faster than everybody else, like the Chiefs or Dolphins did with Tyreek Hill, you just do that speed motion and get him out open instantly. So that's kind of what the Z is.
Yeah, and you'll hear people talk about Z being a flanker too. It's another way that it's referred to. It's just the other lined up wide guy on the usually in a base formation on the other end of the formation. And then you've got the slot player, obviously, the receiver that is lined up not in line like a tight end, but closer to the line of scrimmage, can be on or off the line of scrimmage. And we know what their skill set is, right? And then with the tight ends, you've got a Y and an F tight end. And the Y tight end is what you think of traditional tight end lined up with the big boys on the line of scrimmage, hand in the dirt, either being in line blocking as a part of the offensive line and extension, or coming, maybe, block and then release and then get out into the package as a receiver, or they just release immediately and they run seam routes, which the seam is, up. You're running the seam of the field are the hash marks, right? You're running the hash marks essentially. And the F position is your move tight end. They line up in a lot of different positions. So they'll line up as the fullback sometimes. They'll line up as an inline tight end sometimes on the other end of the formation. Maybe you have the Y and the F both on the line for a jumbo package. Maybe you have the F lined up in the slot. This is a guy that is your I heard somebody on a podcast the other day referred to a movable chess piece, which sounds right until you realize that all the chess pieces move. So it's just they're the chess piece on the field that a lot of offensive coordinators get creative with how they use that guy.
It's kind of like a wild card, like
Joker.
Yeah, Joker position, right? Now, DeMar brings this up. He says the Z isn't always off the line. That depends on the route combinations and if the Y is on or off, right? And you see that all the time, right? Like you see the tight end back up, the wide receiver step up, and then they set, and then the Y motions across or whatever. So
that's the thing about all of this is that all of this is becoming more and more relative as football becomes more and more advanced, because you get these like condensed formations, you get weird like. All of these are general rules that offensive coordinators are increasingly breaking, right? And just a real quick, we mentioned formations. This is another thing that I think is a easy thing for people to like not really know what you're talking about. 11 personnel. When you talk about a personnel package, the two numbers refer to the number of running backs and tight ends on the field. So in 11 personnel, it's 1-1, one running back, one tight end. 12 personnel.
Running back first, tight end second.
Correct. Yeah. Running back, then tight end. So 12 personnel is your heavier tight end package, right? One running back, two tight ends, which means you have less receivers on the field, obviously. In 11 personnel, again, usually 3 receivers, right? That's kind of the whole thing.
The numbers have to, running backs, tight ends, receivers, add up to 5.
Right. And then you can do 22 personnel with 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. That one's pretty uncommon. You can do 12 personnel, or you can do 21 personnel where you have 2 running backs, split backfield, and 1 tight end. And then 13? You can run 13 personnel. You can run 23 personnel. Technically, you can run 32 personnel. Technically,
there's some high schools out there somewhere running 32 personnel all day long.
Yeah. How much 32 personnel did you see and Remember the Titans? There's a lot of jumbo packages in that one.
What are they, shotgun? Or I think they're New York Jets.
Yeah. So
you cannot do 33 personnel. That is illegal. That's too many men. Derek Dooley runs that once against LSU. Anyway, so all that's important because going back to the answer to the question, yes, the X receiver best option looks like Alec Iomana.
So are you going to push back now? Was there pushback somewhere in there?
I honestly think Gunnar Helm is more likely to be the day one Y than Alec is to be the day one X. Because I think Van Jefferson is too easy and safe to just put there in Denver than like Josh Wiley, right? Because that's what we're talking about. It's like, who do you trust more, Van Jefferson or Josh Wiley?
No, I hear you. It's Van Jefferson. The Josh Wiley thing we're gonna have to revisit on a future episode because my opinion continues to change about what's going to happen to Josh Wiley. I think I was wrong again, but there's a little tease for you.
Oh man, just how many times you've been wrong about Josh Wiley?
Once. It's about to be twice. But so I can't disagree with you because I think that Gunnar Helm is the day-to-day starting Y. He's already this one bug has been living with me in the office, and I'm gonna have to kill him after this show. I think that he's already the starting Y, not really close. So is he on my face? He was on my face. I do though think that they're gonna, be a heavy 11 personnel team. So I think that week 1, the starter will be more likely to be again, if they were at home and they were announcing the offense, I think that they would announce Alec Iomana instead of Gunnar Helm personally.
Yeah, I
agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's why I do think it's between those two guys. Is there a case to make for any of the others to be a starter for week 1?
Yeah, Jim DK for sure. If you told me that I was in the article that I wrote, I have Chimere DK as a week 5 starter, and I just wrote that I thought after roughly a month of seeing what Tyler Lockett was doing for this team in that slot or Z role, they rotate Chim in, they get him more and more involved, they kind of ramp him up. And then, a month in, they're like, September was nice enough for us to be comfortable making him the guy now. And they do that and have him be the primary big slot option. Now, I would not be surprised one bit if I have these receivers flipped. And actually, it's Chim DK starting week 1, and it's Iomana technically getting a start in week 5. But generally, I just think that both of these guys will be starting in the first month-ish of the season. That's where I'm at this point. And so Alec is the guy I think has a more streamlined path to becoming a week 1 starter, but it's all kind of relative. And whether they're starting or not, I think they're both going to be really heavily involved from week 1.
All right. So let's go through your overall numbers here, and then we'll ask our next question here on the show. So week 1 starter, you do have Alec Iomana likely to be a week 1 starter in your article at A2ZSports.com. If you want to get more of the reasoning, you can go check that out for sure. Then the next guy I believe you have is Chim DK, right?
Yep.
To be a week 5 guy. Week 5, roughly a month under your belt. There are 4 games in September this year. So coming October, you think Chim DK emerges as a slot weapon, which you've talked about before this summer about that's kind of their plan with him is how can he be a big slot, fast guy, crossing routes down the seam, take advantage of that speed down the field that he flashed at Florida and at Wisconsin prior.
Right.
All right. Who's the next guy? I'm trying to,
Gunnar Helm was the next guy.
Gunnar Helm. So I believe
this is where it's tricky because I have him in the article.
There's Gunnar Helm. So you have him in week 11.
I do. And so but the different question than what you and I just talked about with Helm. Because again, he's going to be the starting Y, but when is he going to be considered the
tight end 1?
And I'm talking about starter in terms of being the primary option, right? Yeah. Yes. Tight end 1.
So that's the other thing. So we've gone through the alphabet of it, right? But let's go numerically, while Calvin Ridley is wide receiver 1, but he's the Z a lot of teams have their wide receiver 1 as the X.
Right. Yeah,
But, Chig is the tight end.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, obvious wide receiver 1, slot guy.
Correct. So Chig is tight end 1 until proven otherwise. I think we talked about the Gunnar Helm position letters, but so you think week 11 is when Gunnar Helm can emerge as tight end 1 over Chig?
Right. So like you said, Chig is the tight end 1 until proven otherwise. And that was the question I tried to answer. When will he potentially be proven otherwise? And I'm not down on Chig this year by any means. I think we know what Chig is at this point. With Helm, I've had some people have already tried to convince me that he might already be, based on what we've seen in the spring, which, take it with a grain of salt, that Gunnar Helm might already be the best tight end on the team. Like, I know Paul Karski kind of thinks that. I know Braden Gall kind of thinks that. I'm not quite there, but like, I see what they're talking about.
But like if I was talking to those guys, which I could text either one of them, be like, hey dummies, what was Gunnar Helm not wearing the whole time he's been a Titan? Pads. I'm like, there's no pads. Like, somebody's gonna look worse.
And I'm sure they understand that. I'm sure they understand that. But
like, does he look like the best flag football tight end out there? Maybe.
Right. Well, that's about all we have to go over.
If they're going and doing a 7-on-7 Elite 11 camp this weekend, maybe Gunnar Helm's better than Chig, but I think Chig's pretty damn good at that too.
I agree. And Chig looks good at minicamp too. So like, it's not an anti-Chig thing. I picked week 11 because that's the first week after their week 10 bye. I believe it's Houston Texans that week. And that is a traditional time during the season for teams to kind of do a mini reset, reestablish the pecking order of things with young guys like rookies, gear them up. Hey, you got 2 weeks to practice, get this game plan right in practice, and we're going to gear you up to get your first start coming out of the bye. And so that's kind of when I think Gunnar Helm, because I do think that he's going to emerge at some point in the season as tight end 1 on this team. I do. It's just a matter of when, and I kind of picked right in the middle.
The other interesting thing for Chig is that he's usually a slower starter to the season.
Right. Good point.
So does that allow for Gunnar Helm? It could be different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, and I'm really curious to see, because Gunnar Helm's my answer for the week 1 side of things, right? I'm curious to see what Gunnar Helm looks like when he returns in July, because he, in my opinion, has a slightly physically underdeveloped tight end body for the NFL.
That's a fact. I was told by a coach at one point in the nondescript recent past that he'll need roughly a year for his body to get 100% right.
But I do think he can still be, I do think he can still be effective. I just think it's going to be harder for him to maintain because he is not physically developed as much as, which is interesting because he's a 5-year college guy, right?
Yeah, I just think this is
at Texas.
There's an NFL build,
every resource in the world to, like, I mean, Texas probably has a better weight room than the Titans.
I mean, probably. I have not seen it, but I would not be shocked.
I would expect that, but I also do think there's a difference of like college kid nutrition versus like NFL nutrition.
Correct. There's also a difference. Well, when you're already the leading receiver on Texas and it's clearly working, like he was as athletic as he needed to be the best receiver on the team. There's it's not complacency, but you see guys in college, like when they're the best, they just keep doing what they're doing because it's working. And then you get to the NFL, you got to take it up a gear because you never had to take it up a gear until now. So but to your point, I don't know if you were alluding to this, because of that, he could wane a little bit down the stretch. He could be a prime candidate for that hitting the rookie wall kind of deal.
Yeah, Bork nailed it right there. The rookie wall is going to hit him hard, potentially. But that, that's usually when Chig comes on.
Right. So maybe that's the flip. Maybe Gunnar is the starter and he plays 12 good weeks and then Chig finishes it out strong. I don't know. Yeah,
for sure. So, all right, we've got more of these rookies to get to, but I want to go ahead and ask this question before we give other rookie starter timelines for the draft class as a whole here. But how many Titans will be bona fide starters this season by the end of the season? Bona fide starter. So before I just posted it in the chat, But Easton, can you explain what your definition of bona fide starter is? Because this was your question that I like where we're going to go with it. But set the table for us. Bona fide starter, what does that mean?
Yeah, talking about guys that become starters at some point this year and stay starters, right? We're not talking about spot starts. In my article, I wrote about a handful of guys that could get starts this year that wouldn't surprise me, like Xavier Restrepo. Injuries, pecking order, like game plan for whatever reasons, like you have guys pulled up and they get a start here or there. Restrepo could be a guy like that. Running back Khalil Mullings, if the running back room, gets hurt, God forbid, that could be a thing.
Which both guys were last year. I mean, remember that game in Jacksonville? Tony Pollard was out with the flu and other stuff, and then Tajay got concussed.
Yeah, and so it's the Julius Chestnut show. You've got the cornerbacks, I think, have a better chance than it makes me comfortable, but like Marcus Harris or Jamari Harris, either one could have a spot start this year if there's triage in that room. So those are the guys that I'm not talking about when I'm talking about bona fide starters. I'm talking
Are we
about
including Cam in our numbers?
Mm-hmm.
So like we're asking a number, right? How many rookies have a chance to be bona fide starters? So the baseline is 1 because Cam Ward will be.
Right. So at least 1. How many more than Cam Ward will become a starter at some point this year and stay a starter as long as they are healthy? That's the question.
All right. Good question. We'll get to your opinions in the chat on that, but also the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn if you have an injury in life. boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Easton, you and I had a great doc talk yesterday.
We did.
Dr. Jeff Watson, who's their foot and ankle specialist, is a fun guy to talk to. He's really good at doing this part of his job, which is kind of not even a part of his job, but he's good at it. And we talked about the Achilles, Tyrese Halliburton's injury, along with the other NBA stars who have popped their Achilles this playoff season, and what that means and how that kind of relates to Titan center Lloyd Cushenberry. I learned something that I thought I was wrong about. Like I thought the opposite about going into that conversation with Dr. Watson about Lloyd Cushenberry. So if you had missed that conversation, I highly suggest you go watch it on our YouTube or Facebook page. It was very informative about Titan center Lloyd Cushenberry and where he is at potentially with his Achilles recovery timeline and what that means for week 1, talking about week 1 starters here. So go check that out on our YouTube and Facebook. Go check them out whenever an injury pops up in your life online, boneandjointtn.org.
There is so much more to say, but first, make sure you've liked the show, left us a 5-star Google review, and then jumped in the chat for the remainder of today's show. We need you guys in there. By the way, it just hit me, Austin. Don't let me forget. We have a question to ask.
We do.
At the end of the show.
We do. Do you have a media prepared for that?
Or I will by the time I get there.
All right. I will go work on that if you can go through the chat. So,
okay.
Yeah, we asked.
You know what you're looking for?
Yes.
Right.
No, kind of.
I can do it in a minute.
You do it. You do it. So I'll go through the chat.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Okay. So how many bona fide starters will be from this rookie class? How many Titans rookies will be bona fide starters by the end of the season? We've got a lot of 3s coming in here. As we know, the number begins with 1, as Cam Ward will be 1. Brock says 4. A lot of 3s coming in. 4 or 5 tops. Now we're getting more 4s. So Boston Diamond says Iomanner, Femi, and Marcus Harris, who is not a name that we've mentioned. So Cam Ward plus these 3. Marcus Harris, a bona fide starter.
Follow-up question for Bustin' Diamond is which current presumed starting cornerback is no longer a starter by the end of the year? I'm curious who Marcus unseats.
Well, there's 3, right? Because he is Marcus Harris, an inside guy mostly.
We don't know yet. Based on the build, I think so, but the way that they've talked about him, maybe not. So I don't know. They may not know yet. I think they're going to try and see what happens.
Adam just says 2. Cam Ward plus 1.
Just
Smash
2
Smash brings up David Binda. So,
all right,
undrafted bona fide starter.
Hey, maybe.
Joshua says 2 to 3. There are a lot of opportunities within the roster. Garrett says Cam, Iomanner, and Helm. Ronan says 3 makes Berganzi's draft success. 4 to 5 makes it a great draft. Now, I'm going to put a pin in that one, and we'll come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Chris says 6. 6 rookies becoming bona fide starters by the end of their rookie year.
That either means the rookies are all-time incredible or the veterans on this team really stink.
So now I'm going to come back to the pen didn't last very long. 4 to 5 makes it a great draft because then Chris jumps at 6. So now it's like, okay, who are one of these rookies we're talking about that if they become a starter by the end of the year, it's a bad thing? Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it does.
Like you do not, like in my opinion, Jackson Slater. You do not want Jackson Slater to be a starter.
Yeah, right.
Because that's Zeitler gets hurt or is
Right.
bad, Skoronsky gets hurt or is bad, or Cushenberry gets hurt or is bad.
Agreed.
And
No, I don't think it would be. I don't think Jackson Slater would play bad. I just think it would mean somebody went down, and that
Right, it would be bad for the team because their actual plan was for this guy to not start.
Yes, same goes for any of the cornerbacks. It's bad if any of them become starters, I think.
I'll add another one. I think it's not good if Kevin Winston Jr. is a bona fide starter by the end of the year.
Oh, I disagree.
I want him to be a. I want him to be a. No, see, here's what I'm going to say. I want him to be a Monty Hooker as a rookie, where you've got 2 guys who are really good starting safeties, and you're like, damn it, we got to get this guy on the field somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want him to start over Xavier Woods. I don't want him to start over Monty Hooker. I want Denard Wilson
but if he does, it means he's good, right? It means,
yeah, but like that's a gadget. Like he's a third safety. There is no like starters, bona fide starters as a third safety. I think I want him to not be a bona fide starter because he runs into a wall of reliable veterans.
You think he's just a gadget safety? That's what he's going to be?
No, I think the third safety isn't viewed as a starter.
Well, no, you're a rotational player,
right.
but he's a guy that they drafted him to be a starter
in year 2 or 3, according to Brinker and Borgonzi.
Right.
So
he's more year 2 because both of these guys are on expiring contracts. But they need him week 1, 2020.
No, I know. But I don't want him to beat them out. I think it would be bad for the team if Kevin Winston Jr. beats out Xavier Woods or Amani Hooker before the end of the season. I want them to have 3 good safeties, and Denard Wilson wants to get all 3 of them on the field a lot.
But if he is clearly the first or second best safety on the team already, and they need him week 1 of 2026, which that part's a fact.
Amani Hooker did the same thing.
Then he's just no. I know. I'm not saying it'll be bad if he doesn't become one. I'm arguing against your idea that it will be bad if he becomes one for the team. Like it will not hurt the team. It will be a guy that they are banking on eventually becoming the best safety on the team, becoming it faster than they thought, which is, I think, an inarguably good thing.
Okay, so Ronan says like the young boy stepping up early means something went wrong. He gets what I'm trying to say.
Not necessarily. It can be.
And that's what I'm saying.
Obviously, if he has to be, like, there's a difference between him having to become a starter and him becoming a starter, right? Like, obviously, if one of the 2 guys we're assuming are starters suck or get hurt, and that's what pushes him up, that's a bad thing. But you seem to think that if he's just better than them, and they're like, we just can't get this guy off the field, we got to get him in there, then that's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing.
So here's where I'm at. I want this Titans safety group to be the 2019 Titans safeties. I want Amani Hooker to play the Kevin Byard role, Xavier Woods to be Kenny Vaccaro, and Kevin Winston Jr. to be Amani Hooker. And Amani Hooker played a lot towards the end of that year as the 3rd guy.
Right.
And Kenny Vaccaro, I don't think, was back after that season. Right? Byard obviously was. So I think that's what Hooker in 2019 got enough run as a rookie to be able to slide in next to Byard the next year. And so I think that's the path. So I would prefer, is my answer. I would prefer for Xavier Woods to continue to play well enough to keep Kevin Winston Jr. in that 3rd spot.
I just don't
as Kevin Winston Jr. is pushing him. Like, I want it to be a compounding positive.
Yeah, I just don't get that. I don't think it matters a lick whether or not your 3rd safety is Kevin Winston Jr. or Kevin Winston Jr. or Xavier Woods. Like, the better players play. If he's better, then that's a good thing for the team. Because, again, this is a guy that they need week 1 of 2026. If he never asserts himself as the starter this year, then that means we're going to spend all of next offseason talking about how we're penciling him in as the starter, but we've not ever seen him be the starter. So it's kind of a question mark as to whether or not, like,
yeah, but like
it's a prove, let's see if
you've
he can
seen
make
them like again. We didn't have a ton of question about.
So if he this year, I'm not saying you'll have a ton of questions. I'm saying it will necessarily be a question if we don't see it this year. But if we do see it this year,
I feel like that's the plan.
That's one less question.
Right.
It is
you also have, but I think because Caleb says don't push the ACL if they don't have to. Year 2 is perfectly fine for Winston.
I'm not saying they're going to push it, guys. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you go into a player acquisition cycle, the fewer questions you can have about your existing roster, the better, objectively. Objectively. So if you have one less question about who your starting safety is next year, that's a good thing for your team.
But again, like going into 2020, internally, the Titans did not have questions about Amani Hooker next to Kevin Byard.
They necessarily did. They were confident, but they did not know because they had not seen it. I mean, they did not know.
Like internally, they felt very good about it. Like they were not.
Of course shaking. They did, but you can't tell me they wouldn't have felt better if he had started the last 5 games of the year and looked great as a starter.
But they had him as their third safety next to Vaccaro and Byard, and they were able to do really good things schematically because they had 3 guys they could trust.
Right, and that's perfectly fine. And if that's how it works out, that's fine.
You're
arguing that it's. I think you're arguing against the idea that it's better if he proves it this year, or that it's not better that if he proves it this year. I think it is objectively better if he proves it this year. Okay,
so Servuco says if the vet sucks, it's also bad. That's what it means. So
we already acknowledged that.
Yeah. So anyway,
what's
Winston,
your answer? How many?
It's more of a gray area, right? With Kevin Winston Jr. on if he becomes a bona fide starter at the end. So
I don't think all of that arguing aside, I don't like if I'm predicting, I don't think he will be.
Yeah, same. Because I think Xavier Woods will hang on to it and be fine too.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I won't be surprised if he's just good. That's a lie. I'll be a little surprised if he's just good and asserts himself. I won't be surprised if he has to, God, not hoping somebody gets hurt, but these are 2 veteran players that if one of them suffered a season-ending injury, it wouldn't be shocking, right? So maybe that's the way that it goes. And in that case, they need him to be ready.
Yeah. So I think the easiest bona fide starters that I can say are Cam, Helm, Iron Manor. I think 3 is pretty clear. Now, I honestly feel like Femi has a shot here. And that's where I want so I think Femi would be my 4th. So my answer is going to be 4. You're going to call a timeout? Everything okay?
Yeah.
On a flag.
Yeah, I forgot that I have this. I should use it more often in the show. Throwing a flag on the play. We got props in the summer, baby.
My God.
We're gonna glide right over the other receiver in this room. We're not gonna. Wow, really? All right, we'll come back to that then. Let's talk.
I think Chim might be 5th.
So well, hang on. That's what I'm asking. 5 starters or 4 out of this group? That's the question.
4 is my answer. Right? If there is a 5th, it would be Chim. He'd be next.
My answer, just to put it out there, is 5, and I am including Chim. I think he's going to be a
bona fide starter.
I mean, I wrote in the article week 5. Yes,
I know. You and I are very different on Chim DK.
I know. It's just you shouldn't be surprised. You read the article. You said you read the article. You should know that I think he's going to be a starter.
Oh, I've talked to you every day for a long time, so I know how you feel about this guy. I am hesitant on Chim DK. He does not look impressive to me running. He runs fast, but I don't have confidence in him to be able to create separation outside of just being fast yet. So I think he is underdeveloped from a route technician standpoint coming out of college because he was so good at the crossing route that Billy Napier is in job saving mode. And he's just I just need him to run as many crossing routes as I possibly can to keep my ass from being fired from Florida. And that's what he had to do. And so he did not develop more of a route tree to be
smooth. Sure we'll understand. I think Chim might have run more miles in games last year than anybody else in college football.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
because you're in
he
great
ran
shape.
so
I know,
much.
but that doesn't mean that he's good being a receiver.
No, I'm not. No,
Remember
I'm
last
not
summer,
saying that.
Traylon Burks ran more than anybody else in the field and ran faster than anybody else on the field. It didn't mean squat.
Totally agree. I'm just saying the role that he was in last year is just so not what they're going to do to
He
him
was
this
like a
year.
soccer midfielder. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes. Yeah. He probably would be able to hang on a soccer field. He's conditioned up.
But I just don't see him being a bona fide starting receiver. I think he'd be effective. I think he's a role player. I think he can have
I hear you. So
solid year.
Who are the primary receivers this year?
I think Ridley, Lockett, Io Manor, Van, and then probably Chim.
Oh wow, even Van. Okay.
Did I say Van?
No, I know. I'm saying you even have Van over him in terms of production this year is surprising to me.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, as far as like snaps and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I find that surprising.
Yeah, I mean, you need receivers.
I think Chim will easily outsnap Van this year. Easily. That's my opinion. So we'll see. I love that we're not on the same page.
I also don't think Van's a bona fide starter either.
Well, he's a bona fide not a starter. He's
exactly.
a role player. He's a role player.
So I just think Chim's still a role player on the team. I just don't think he's a bona fide starter yet.
Yeah, but
he can still have a productive, solid rookie year for the 103rd pick overall.
Sure. Well, I mean, but if he's the fifth option, he's going to have like 250 yards.
Yeah, we're not even talking about tight ends or running backs either.
Right. So
if he has 200 yards receiving, then that's a surprise.
That's a productive year for you? Oh, no. If Chim finishes the year with 200 yards, I consider that a failure based on the way that they've talked about him.
Well, it depends on the others. There's only so many yards to go around.
I know, but I don't think Van Jefferson is stealing the yards that Chim could go get. I don't think Tyler Lockett is necessarily stealing the yards that Chim could go get. I think if Chim and Alec both don't near 500 yards this year, then something went wrong in either of their development.
I think receiving yards get dramatically over projected. Just in general. I think over projected.
Projected. Oh.
What do you think I said?
I thought you said protected. I didn't know what that meant.
So I'm just going to go to the 2020 Titans. 16 games, put up stupid numbers, right?
Right.
Stupid numbers. How many pass catchers do you think, Easton, had over 200 yards in 16 games on the Titans offense that put up stupid numbers? That's 33 passing touchdowns from Tannehill, 3,800 yards, right? Over 200 receiving yards. I'll adjust one players to add more for a 17th game. So if they had 17 games, how many people do you think had over 200 receiving yards?
My gut reaction was 7.
No.
8?
No.
Less? 6?
6 if you include Khalif Raymond for a 17th game.
Okay. And how many of those were receivers?
3.
Okay.
Well, AJ Brown, 1,000 yards, right? Would you expect Ridley to play that?
Yep.
Corey Davis, near 1,000 yards. Jonnu, under 500. Anthony Ferkser, under 400. Adam Humphries, 228. So 5 dudes actually had over 200 receiving yards in a stupidly productive, record-breaking year for the Titans offense. When Tannehill had 3,800 yards.
To be clear, that 3,800 yards passing isn't exactly stupidly productive in the modern NFL. That's actually pretty middle of the road. That just was an offense that scored a lot of points and had a bajillion running yards. So that's a part of it too.
Yeah, they did.
I think by the modern NFL standards, 4,000 is the demarcation line in terms of passing yards, right? 4,000 yards.
Okay, so that's why I added it. So I added a 17th game, and you got 6. But
right. So I think if Cam Ward throws for roughly 4,000 this year, which I'm not saying he will, by the way, I'm just saying if that's because it's going to be, I think, a more volume passing offense than they have had. I think you have Ridley around 1,000, and I think you have the next 2 receivers in the room, one above 500, one below 500, and that's where I think the 2 rookies come in.
All right, you want to do last year's numbers? How many players last year do you think had over 200 receiving yards?
Okay, I mean Ridley and Chig both did.
Mm-hmm.
Did Tajay have like right at 200?
224.
Okay, I don't think Josh Wiley got there.
No,
I
Josh
don't.
Wiley. No, Josh Wiley did 248.
Okay, I don't think Pollard got there.
He did 238.
So many guys right on the number. Okay, so many guys right at 200.
Yep.
Okay, so what? They had four guys, five guys.
They actually had 7.
Whoa,
Ridley,
see?
but Ridley at 1,000, then NWI right at 500,
Oh, I
Chig right
completely
under
forgot NWI.
500,
Yeah, duh.
Tyler Boyd 390. But you had 7 players, 3 receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
So hang on, you said the receivers there in order were 1,000, 500, 350, essentially.
1,000, 500, 400.
Okay, yeah, that is almost exactly in my head what I'm expecting Ridley and the 2 rookies to do this year. 1,000, 500-ish, 500-ish.
But you're just dismissing Lockett as a whole.
I think he'll have like 300 yards. I think he'll have, what did Boyd have last year? 400?
390.
390? Yeah.
That's Lockett.
Yeah.
So Alec is probably NWI.
Hopefully.
Right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
You think Tony, again, I think you're overestimating how many receiving yards are out there for Van Jefferson and Chim and to split.
I think Van Jefferson's getting like 117 yards this year, man.
Which is DeAndre Hopkins had 173.
Yeah.
I get that. My point is we tend to over project receiving yards.
I agree.
There's not that many to go around.
But if I think the 2 rookies are number 2 and number 3, then I don't think it's over projecting.
I think you're over projecting the second Chim being the 3rd receiver overall.
Yeah, you just think I have the order wrong, which is understandable. We'll see.
And I think there's probably 3A, 3B, 3C with Chim, Lockett, Van all spun up into one and smoothied out.
Remember when this was supposed to be a conversation about Femi?
Yep.
You want to talk about that now?
Yeah, I mean, so I think there was a comment early in the show about Femi being a week 1 starter because of lack of people around him in the situation. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think it's going to happen in week 1 or September or October, but I do think that Femi has a chance to learn fast. He's a smart guy. He's got a lot of room to grow quickly. It's like if you have 150 pounds to lose, you're going to lose it fast early. I think Femi's kind of like that in the edge rusher growth. He's got so much to learn. Yes. He's going to learn a bunch fast, and then he's going to hit a wall, and then it's going to get harder. But I think him learning a bunch fast is almost enough to just keep him on the field more often than not because of who else they had out there.
Right. I agree. So what week I said Femi will hang on. So you think Femi will, like he's in, you think
by the end of the season will be a bona fide starter.
Okay. Yeah. So that established, what week are you thinking? And you're like, just gut random, roughly
November.
when?
November.
Okay. So like week 12, 13, 14.
Yeah. Maybe like Thanksgiving plus or minus a week.
Yeah. So in my article, I did week 15. And the reason why I said week 15 in the article, which is also arbitrary, that's the Niners game, is because I feel like I took a peek at Harold Landry's rookie year, and Harold was a 2nd round pick, 2018, in the 30s, like 37 overall, 38 overall. Oh, was it? Hang on, I'll have it right here. I was wrong.
45,
41st overall. So a handful of roughly 10 picks before, but also in a room that, correct me if I'm wrong, there was more competition in that edge room than Femi has. Wasn't a whole lot more, but there were more edge options, I believe, on that team than the Titans currently have because of the bar is so low. But I looked at his rookie year, and I think his rookie year is roughly what I'm expecting from Femi.
Harold
is it thinner than I thought?
Harold as a rookie had the most sacks of any edge player.
Who else was in that room?
You guys ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So Jarrell Casey led the team with 7 sacks.
Right.
How about this? Jayon Brown, second on the team, is 6 sacks.
Wow.
Then Harold Landry and Wesley Woodyard each had 4.5. Logan Ryan had 4. Then your next edge rusher on the sack count in 2018 with 3.5, Kamale Correa.
What a scuffed defense.
And then you have Vaccaro and Byard with 2 each. And then you get Brian Arakpo with 1.5 and Sharif Finch with 1.5.
I remember Sharif Finch. But more to my point, looking at Harold's rookie year, he was inactive week 1. I don't believe that. I think Femi will be active, but he did not start until week 15. So that's why I picked week 15 for Femi. He was, rotational player in that, and as we've now established, rough defense in terms of edge players. And he had, like you said, 4.5 sacks. He had 2.5 of them before becoming a starter, and then 2 in his final 3 games as a starter. So I think I think roughly 5 sacks starting near the back end of the year. Second round edge rusher. Hopefully next year takes the leap like Harold did. I think that's exactly the Femi path, man. I think that's like, now I'm not saying that Femi's career will be what Harold Landry was necessarily, but I think his first year will look like this.
I mean, you hope that Femi can have a Harold career, right?
Oh, I'm not saying it'd be bad. I'm not going to say that like he will be Harold Landry one way or another. I'm just saying I think year 1 will look that way.
So I have 4 rookies to become bona fide starters by the end of the season. You have 5.
I do.
We both have Cam, Alec Ironmaner, Gunnar Helm, and Femi, and then you add Chim on top of it.
Yes, and I think by week 1, 2026, of this draft class, 6 of them will be starters, because I think the Jackson Slater will be a starter next year.
You might want to make that number be 7.
Who am I? Oh, good point. 7. Forgot about Kevin. I think 7 guys, which now that I'm saying it out loud, man, they need this class to be foundational, man. They need starters out of this group. Like, I know every year you talk about every draft class, it's like you hope you can get, if you can get 3 starters out of a draft class, that's great. And for the average team, 100%. That's what the Titans got last year. They got 3, maybe a 4th. We're going to see with the linebackers. With this draft class, I mean, 7 might be, that's probably pumping hope and rainbows on my part in June. Mm-hmm. But in reality, if they don't have, like, I don't know, at what point is it a failure? Like, I think they need 4 or 5 of these guys at least to be starters for the next couple of years, for this team to jumpstart the way that they want it to.
Yeah, I mean, you need all the offensive guys. I mean, you need everybody that's in the top.
You obviously need Cam. You need one of the 2 receivers.
You need the top 6 drafted players to be every game legitimate competitors and contributors.
Yeah, but like I'm just saying, like 4 years from now, we talk about guys that worked as starters versus didn't. You need Cam. You need one of the 2 receivers. You really need Femi. You really need Kevin Winston Jr. So those 4.
I think you need all 3 of.
You arguably need Helm.
Yes,
I don't think you need all 3. I don't think you need all 3. If you drafted 2 receivers in the 4th round and you hit on one of them, that's not a failure.
Oh, I just think that I think that the receivers are. I mean, you've got both guys at 2 and 3. You have freaking rookies.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about what we think will happen. I'm saying what will or won't be a failure of a draft class. I think in general, if you draft 2 4th round receivers and one is a hit as starter for you, then that's a
for sure. But I think 3 years from now, when they're opening the stadium, Jim DK, Ivan Manor, and Helm are all contributors on the team.
I hope so.
To varying levels. Like
right. No, I hear you.
Going into year 3 of their rookie contracts, yes. I think so. Helm's probably a starter. Ivan Manor is probably a starter. And Chim, we'll see. We're split on him. I think he might be wide receiver 3 or 4 and a return guy.
I was about to say that's 2 player acquisition cycles away from now. That's however many injuries these guys sustain between now and then. And I also just taken a step back to kind of like, look at this glass half empty instead of half full. how many guys in the past we have said, well, maybe even if they're not starters, they'll at least be contributors on year 3 that are rookie contract. I mean, what do we think? Surely we thought Traylon Burks would at least be a contributor by year 3. And yet.
Yeah, but that's very extreme.
But extreme things happen with rookies. And that was a first round pick. We're talking about 4th round picks. I just, I have high hopes for these guys, but I also am not naive enough to not realize that in hindsight, things become a lot clearer than.
But I think like Tajay Sharp, right? He's a 5th round pick. Year 3, contributor on his rookie contract, 25 catches, 329 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, well, 4 or 5 guys this year. We'll see.
Okay. You ready for your do we want to let's save this for Friday?
The question?
Yeah, because we're an hour and 5
yeah.
And we've got trivia.
We've got it in the bank there.
We've got it ready to roll. We're gonna save Easton's training camp question for you guys for Friday. It is trivia time, so let's get it going. Here we go. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. They will save you money on your new ride by going to see them in Lebanon. Where are my trivia graphics? There they are. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Okay. Let's see how we can do here. College football's on the list. That's good.
Like that.
Yep. MLB, not so much. Okay. Orlando, setting our over-under at 4.5. We were what, 3 out of 10?
We are, 3 and 10. 3 and 10.
Remember if Ryan and I did it or not? If we hit the over-under.
We need the chat sports book to remind us what our record is since they've started.
Orlando's got it somewhere. But
all right, we ready?
I mean, do we want to wait for Orlando's number to come in?
He says yes to 3 and 10.
I don't know what you're answering yes to. Orlando.
I think he's saying yes to 3 and 10. We were 3 and 10.
Okay, 3 and 10. All right. Sorry, NFL. Let's do it.
Here we go. Previously dating Olivia Culpo and now with Alex Earl, this wide receiver had over 400 yards and was an all-pro kick returner for the Jets in 21.
Braxton Berrios.
I can spell.
Wait, isn't Culpo? Isn't that
in 2016, SNL's Cecily Strong began appeering in a Never Basic ad campaign for this clothing retailer.
Oh, no clue.
I can picture it, but I don't know.
Who's like Cecily Strong?
Cecily Strong, SNL cast member for all.
I know.
I thought it was Old Navy.
Yeah, I ask who that person is. You tell me.
Are we sure it's Old Navy? That feels right to me.
Old Navy not available.
Was that? I just spelled it wrong. Old Navy. We're gonna try it. Yep. Since 2015, this History Channel reality competition show has followed 10 survivalists as they attempt to live as long as possible while secluded in the wilderness to win $500,000. This is Alone.
Alone in the.
I think it's called Alone. I think it's called Alone. There's a bunch of Alones. People are saying Alone.
Alone. Yep. Yeah.
Mel Gibson played a millionaire's son who gets kidnapped in this 96 action thriller. I feel like I should know this.
It's not on your summer list.
No. 3HL is giving me a hard time about the summer list. They said Major League needs to be on there, by the way.
I added it from Dawn.
Okay. I fill you up. Let's have a party. Our lyrics from this 2011 Toby Keith song. Red Solo Cup. Is it called Red Solo Cup?
Yep.
Yeah. This Snoop Dogg and Pharrell Williams song was used in Sundrop soda commercials. Sundrop commercials?
Oh, this has got to be Drop Like That's Hot.
Good point. That's a great point. Great point. David Justice finished third in MVP voting after a 40.
Wait, no.
Finish the question.
I'm pretty sure it's Braves. No, it's not.
If it's 93. I will know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Let's double check. Chat.
Boston's all over it.
I'm just going. Yep.
Yes.
All right. Lovie Smith went 17 and 39 as the head coach of this Big Ten.
Illinois.
What?
Illinois.
Honestly, did not know that.
He had a big beard.
Whoa.
Oh, dear God.
That is Sydney Sweeney.
And, Jason Segel.
Jason's, how do you say it? Jason, how do you spell his last name?
Segel.
S-E-A? S-E?
S-E-G.
Let's go.
Oh, 243 on fire. That felt easy. Can you scroll down and see what our numbers are?
I'm sure it was super hard. We don't need to check. I'm sure everybody else really struggled with it. Hey, only 140 out of 5,400.
But only
it was the Old Navy commercial that got people. 4-10 against the spread. We are clawing our way back to the black figures, baby.
Oh no. Orlando says he's moving the number.
I mean, naturally, the book has to move the number. We just keep making it harder on ourselves.
I mean, Easton, you did get that celebrity mashup outside real fast.
I mean, you guys can act like I'm crazy for Sydney Sweeney being very recognizable for a couple of reasons.
It was also zoomed out.
You know I'm right.
It was also zoomed out more than any other celebrity mashup.
Yeah, why do you think that was? Because
I don't know.
Sydney's not recognizable for her hair. Let's just say that.
That's weird.
She looks like a generic blonde when it's just the hair. Chat knows what I'm talking about. Come on. This is not like Tipsy gets it for a couple of reasons. I'm not sitting here. I'm not trying to be a pig or anything. It's just the way that it works, man.
I mean, crazy.
It is what it is.
The game zoomed it out way more than any other celebrity mashup.
First dual product. What do you expect?
Yeah,
of course they did.
Crazy. All right, but hey, we won fast. Look at me. Look at me with the MLB answer fast.
Jeff saying, don't let my wife hear me. My wife would agree that that's what makes Sydney Sweeney recognizable because obviously it is. But you're right. Hey, huge. Have you ever gotten an MLB question that quickly?
I answered the question before you finished reading the question.
I know. Yeah, you didn't even let me get through it.
Crazy. I'm pretty pumped about that. All right.
Is that just were you really tuned into 90s Braves? How did you know that so quickly?
I mean, 90s Braves is probably what I know most of any baseball just because of my age and geographical connection to the Bravos.
Fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
Okay. That's it for us. Make sure you hit the like button, like the show. We'll see you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Buck Rising Live tonight for A to Z Sports Prime Time. We'll catch you later on. Appreciate it as always.